June 7th, 2001.
He wasn't entirely at home in the United States.
I called, and the person heard an accent, and he said, "What color are you?" And I looked over to my mother, this is 1964, and I said, "Mother, what color am I, pink?"
He wasn't altogether at home in Mexico either.
And I would be walking down the street, kids would call out to me, "Hey, gringo, go home."
But he was American enough to sing in a Texas restaurant. Now he is Mexican enough to hold a cabinet position, fighting for Mexicans here in the United States.
The United States says, "Don't come, don't come, don't come." But if you make it, here is a great reward.
Tonight, the new frontier, the man in the middle.
From ABC News, this is Nightline. Reporting from Washington, Ted Koppel.
It may have something to do with the way we pronounce the names. Los Alamos, San Diego, Las Vegas. The way we flatten out the A's and O's. San Antonio, Los Angeles, San Francisco. They are so much a part of our United States, conjuring up images of such familiar American places that we often overlook their histories, their origin, even their proximity to other places. Ours, after all, is a landscape speckled with the memories of immigrants. How many of our towns and cities reflect the dreams and yearnings of the foreigners who founded them? Hanover, Berlin, New York, New Hampshire, New Orleans, indeed, New Mexico itself. Of all the nations that willingly or not have contributed to the fabric of America, one in particular stands out because its people keep flooding back and forth across our common border. Our relationship with Mexico has always been marked by a curious combination of mutual need and occasional resentment. Those, after all, were Spanish names that so many of our American cities carry. They testify to the battles that were once fought throughout Texas and California, Nevada, Arizona, and New Mexico. But more and more in recent times, there is a willingness to acknowledge mutual need and the value of cooperation between Mexico and the United States. And that is what has led ABC News and Time Magazine to cooperate this week on their cover story and our series on all ABC News broadcasts on what we're calling the New Frontier. Our correspondent, Deborah Amos.
You can find them in almost every town across the United States. The gathering place is not always as official as it is in Austin, Texas.
I got to clean out a trench.
But they are always there, early in the morning, willing to work.
But I need to get it knocked out. I need you to get after it.
These Mexican laborers lay the stones, prep the restaurant food, and fix the roads of America's economic boom. The latest census shows there may be as many as 11 million undocumented Mexican workers in this country. More are coming every day, risking their lives to get here.
14 illegal immigrants were found dead after being abandoned by the men who had smuggled them across the U.S.-Mexican border.
That is why Juan Hernandez travels from Mexico to the U.S. every week. He heads a new presidential office open specifically to represent Mexicans abroad. His first stop today was Arizona, where he went to the hospital to meet the survivors of the latest border tragedy. The visit got headline coverage in Mexico. Were they surprised when a cabinet minister showed up?
Sure. Yeah, especially at the hospital. Yes, I think these individuals, but we want them to know they're not second-class citizens just because they have crossed a line, they've broken a law. Some people call them illegals, we call them undocumented.
Let's offer Dr. Hernandez a warm welcome. And for the first time, Mexican government officials are very publicly calling Mexican migrants something else. Heroes, new pioneers, VIPs.
These very important paisanos
Very important countrymen, says Hernandez to every group he meets within the United States. And indeed, they are, sending home at least $10 billion a year to Mexico, the third largest money earner behind oil and tourism.
They've been fueling the economy of the United States. They've been fueling the economy of Mexico. They are good people. They're working. They do have jobs. We're willing to put our money where our mouth is to help them and protect them.
And you talk Spanish or English?
English.
English? Oh.
So Hernandez zigs and zags across the United States meeting with migrants. He answers questions, listens to complaints, consoles grieving relatives whose family members died trying to make it to the American labor market. This is really important to us, he tells her. Believe me. He takes down names and details and promises to follow up. Mexicans here have never seen anything like it.
They're proud of him, and they're proud that he hasn't forgotten them.
Yolanda Anguiano works with the Mexican community in San Antonio. Is that new for the Mexican government?
Yes.
It's new.
Yes, it's new for the Mexican government. From what I'm seeing, it's definitely something new.
Very new for a country that also elected its first opposition president after 71 years of one-party rule. When Vicente Fox campaigned in the U.S. last year, he promised to represent all 120 million Mexicans, including the 20 million who live in the United States. It was here, New York's Spanish Harlem, not Wall Street or Washington, D.C., where President-elect Fox made his first trip to the U.S. to make good on his campaign pledge.
I think it was a very symbolic statement saying that the Mexicans who live in the United States, we also think of you as part of the Mexican nation.
Rob Smith, a professor at Columbia University's Barnard College, studies the effect of immigration on U.S.-Mexico relations. He called them heroes.
He calls them heroes, and I don't think he's kidding around. I think he's very serious in that. I think he sees them as people who have, left their homeland to help their children because he sees Mexico as having failed them, and he's trying to redeem that sacrifice.
Juan Hernandez is the man Fox chose to carry out the policy. And if he sounds like an American, that's because he is an American, a Mexican-American, the first to serve in a Mexican cabinet, although now he's a citizen of both countries. You are a representative of the Mexican government, but you are an American. Not that you were, I'm not saying you were picked for that reason, but here you are, the representative.
Oh, I think I was picked for the reason.
You were picked?
Sure. I think Vicente Fox has known me for 5 years, and on the contrary, we've worked together because of my understanding of immigration, because my father was a migrant to the United States.
His mother is an American. When the family moved back to Mexico, Hernandez struggled to fit in.
And I would be walking down the street, and a little bit like the country western song, A Boy Named Sue, kids would call out to me, "Hey, gringo, go home." And
Because you were the blonde guy.
I was the blonde kid, yeah, and so I'd have to go back and prove myself as being Mexican.
Back in Texas, growing up Mexican-American in the 60s would prove difficult, too, when as a boy he phoned a local Fort Worth swimming pool.
The person heard an accent, and he said, "What color are you?" And I'd never been asked that question. And I looked over to my mother, this is 1964, and I said, "Mother, what color am I, pink?" And she said, "Hang up, we're not going swimming there."
La cucaracha, ya no puede caminar.
He eventually learned to swim in both cultures, playing Mexican ballads at Joe T. Garcia's, a famous Fort Worth restaurant, while he earned his Ph.D. in English literature. He produced 4 albums of the Mexican classics and some of his own music.
¿Cuál es mi oficio? ¿Cuál es mi profesión?
He got a teaching job at the University of Texas, founded a Mexican-American Institute, and invited this up-and-coming Mexican governor for a visit. He's been with Fox ever since.
Some people have said, well, we don't think that it's right that he is able to somehow participating in both countries. What I say is that is the reality of U.S.-Mexico relationships. And there are now over 20 million people that have one foot in Mexico and one foot in the United States, according to new census. If they're going to attack me, they're going to have to attack 20 million people.
Juan Hernandez uses his dual identity whenever he can. And the doors are wide open.
Good. Good to see you. Just great.
The business community, law enforcement, U.S. politicians
I need to run back to the legislature, okay?
Thank you. Say hello to the governor for me,
Call me
okay?
if you need any.
are welcoming him wherever he goes in ways that even surprises him.
Could you have done this 5 years ago?
No, not at all. The clouds have opened up, and all of a sudden the conditions are perfect. But also we have to work incredibly hard to make something of it.
This is ABC News Nightline, brought to you by UPS.
People, you're probably wondering why Barnes is in the corner. Well, I'm trying to make a point. Let's pretend that Barnes is a shipment to China. Barnes, how long have you been there?
4, maybe 5 days.
Yeah, for some reason it's taking 4, maybe 5 days for our shipments to get to China. I find that amusing to the point of absurdity. Find a way to ship it faster, we'll kick some major bootay.
UPS now flies nonstop to China 6 times a week. That means faster transit times and more shipping options.
Sir?
Do packages talk, Barnes?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Nobody delivers China faster.
I'm on an all-night flight when suddenly, terrible heartburn. The guy in the next seat says, try this, Zantac 75. Thanks, I say. Maybe I had to see a doctor about this heartburn. He says you just did.
Zantac 75, the heartburn relief doctors trust.
Hi, how can I?
Yes, I'd like a set of Michelin cross-terrain SUV tires with white lettering, please.
Now at Sears Auto Center, we're having the biggest Michelin sale of the year. Sears, America's #1 tire retailer.
The baby business is booming, but would you offer to sell your own child? It's happening. Children born to be sold, and those may be the lucky ones. 2020 Friday.
Jamie Bohan owns a Hyundai Sonata.
We looked at consumer ratings and all of the features that came with the vehicle.
This is Jamie's second Hyundai.
It's very luxurious, it's very dependable.
Sonata comes with the freedom of America's best warranty and more horsepower, room, and standard features than Camry, yet is priced thousands less. Just $14,999 with automatic transmission. The Hyundai Sonata. It's a lot more car. For a limited time, get the Sonata with automatic transmission for just $14,999.
It is time to get government back within its means and to lighten our punitive tax burden. On these principles, there will be no compromise.
Bob Franks raised our taxes 120 times. He voted with Jim Florio 90% of the time. And Bob Franks opposed President Bush's tax cuts, the most important since Ronald Reagan. Reagan, Bush, Schindler, they're true tax cutters. Bob Franks, just another tax-hiking liberal.
They are welcome to work here, but it is not easy to live here. A contradiction that rules the lives of undocumented Mexican workers across the country.
You have a Social Security card? No.
No Social Security number, no driver's license. Open a bank account, not without that number. So undocumented Mexican workers are mostly paid in cash. But that makes them easy targets for violence. Of the 800 robberies in Austin last year, 50% were against Hispanics, says Rudy Landeros, Austin's assistant chief of police.
In the year 2000, we had 4 homicides. Each one of these homicides were robberies, and each one of these robberies were against Spanish-speaking immigrants. And each one of them, they were robbed simply because they had cash on them. They had money on them.
This started when a couple of...
This celebration is for a new program at a local bank that Landeros pushed for with the church, the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and Juan Hernandez, head of Mexico's Office for Mexicans Abroad.
But the times that you sent those emails to me, that helped.
And it changed things.
Do you need to open an account?
Austin's Wells Fargo Bank created Banco Facile.
Okay.
That means easy banking for immigrants.
He said he heard about a program here that you can open an account without Social Security or something.
It is part of a new reality.
Again, it's linked to increase in power, political power for Latinos, and because of a growing realization this problem is not going to go away, that this is in fact a contradiction which has remained and has increased. Imagine Washington, D.C. without undocumented immigrants. All the restaurants would shut down. Congressmen wouldn't have their shirts pressed and cleaned. You know, the country would not be able to move.
So with a meeting here and a phone call there, life may be getting easier for some immigrants.
You can get it here. You got a passport and a visa. What do you got to show me who you are? Let me get all the driving tests to line up right here, please.
In Texas, the legislature voted last month to lift the Social Security card requirement for driver's licenses and made it easier for immigrants to qualify for in-state college tuition. Credit unions around the country have made it easier and cheaper to send money home to Mexico. It's good news for these workers, and it's good economics for the Mexican government.
¿Cuántos mandan dinero a sus casas?
How many of you send money home to your families? He asked.
Everybody.
Y el que no, bueno,
How many of them have bank accounts?
¿Cuántos ya abrieron una cuenta de banco?
Nobody.
They just found out about the program.
Is this a big deal for them?
¿Y esto les parece importante, bueno?
And they'll all do it?
Y lo van a hacer, de verdad. On the we're already promoting it.
Really?
Lo que sí tienen ustedes que decir los
He
familiares.
explains how they can use ATM cards, both here and in Mexico.
Familiar y sacarlo todo.
Then he urges them not to forget their homeland.
No se olviden de México.
These are the Mexicans the Fox government wants to reach.
¿Cómo estás, hombre?
But these are the people the Fox government needs to reach. Successful Mexican Americans. This group are businessmen, owners of bus companies. They have complaints about corruption and doing business in Mexico.
Que vayan directamente al gobierno, ¿verdad? Porque nosotros somos una fuente.
No, they won't let my bus go into Mexico.
Que necesitan tener un terminal en México.
That's what creates corruption. We had to change the law.
They are encouraged by this visit.
This is unprecedented that you can get someone that is so close to the president of Mexico coming and meeting with transportation owners. So
a big deal for them and for the Mexican government that wants to tap their growing economic and political power in the United States.
This is supposed to be a new Mexico. Bribery, that we're not going to accept anymore.
Hernandez promises them business will be easier. And if he can deliver, these men will be on board.
Complying with the laws of Mexico yet.
And we want him to know that we're going to be his army. We're going to be there because if you put all these businesses together, they represent, you know, a significant amount of money. If you
it is exactly what Juan Hernandez hoped to hear. Has the Mexican American and just Mexicans in America, that population, now become successful and wealthy enough to give back here, that becomes a piece of the puzzle?
We are betting on that the Mexican-American population in the United States will become more and more like the Jewish community in the United States, like the Puerto Rican community in the United States, that they will think Mexico first, and they will invest in Mexico. They've already been doing it to a great extent.
But that's family to family.
Family to family. But now I want the third generation, the seventh generation, I want them all to think Mexico first.
I may look young, but I still suffer from hot flashes. I discovered a natural way to deal with it. Healthy Woman, from the makers of Monistat. Healthy Woman's a soy menopause supplement that helps relieve hot flashes and night sweat. Healthy Woman.
CD, $15. Baseball tickets, you please? $60. Abstract painting, $3,000. Express checkout on the web, priceless. The MasterCard e-wallet. Online checkout is now one click away. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard. Get one at MasterCard.com.
When that pastrami on rye catches up with me, heartburn big time. My passenger says, here, take a Zantac 75. I say, what are you, a doctor? And he says,
Yeah.
Zantac 75, the heartburn relief doctors trust.
The new, faster than ever Lexus GS430. Pace yourself.
My motto is, the customer is always right. The problem was...
Pack smokes?
Kids would try to buy cigarettes. You got an ID for those books?
Oh, come on.
It's illegal for me to sell them to anyone under 18. But since this We Card program started, there's no argument. I just point to the sign.
Philip Morris is committed to keeping cigarettes out of kids' hands. That's why Philip Morris is a major sponsor of the We Card program.
I'm not alone when I say no, and that's a big help.
Working to make a difference. The people of Philip Morris.
Calm down. There are bigger stars than me here.
Alec Baldwin and Martin Short join Bill. Politically Incorrect, coming up.
But it is about the funniest thing ever.
Hey, where
Yeah, you. Come on in to 7online.com. Plan your weekend. Play fun games. Shop and save. Check out entertainment, movies, lottery, your favorite shows, and so much more. Come on in to 7online.com.
You'll find our more loosely constructed suits fit as well in the casual workplace as they do the after-work place.
Tailored comfort. That Men's Warehouse.
You're going to like the way you look. I guarantee it.
Puebla, 60 miles southeast of Mexico City, has a glorious Spanish past. But the future is in the United States. 1/5 of the population here has headed north by any way and every means. There's hardly a peso spent in Puebla that's not connected to a dollar earned by Mexicans in the United States. Mexico is trying to change that equation.
Cruzar la frontera por el desierto puede terminar con tu vida.
This TV ad campaign is a warning.
No te arriesgues.
So when Juan Hernandez meets with Mexicans living here, he warns them again.
No lo hagan, ¿sí?
Don't do it.
These people who are here are individuals who are very eager to go to the United States legally.
They want work visas. Do you all want to go to work in the United States and come back?
That's how many would like to return to Puebla, the immense
Go
majority.
and come back.
So la mayoría querría ir y regresar, sí. Says the main reason is just to get a job. So the main problem is the salary.
How many of you, if you can't find a legal way to go, will go anyway? Everybody. Everybody. And they don't mind saying so in front of a government official. Doesn't it bother them to leave their families for so long? No.
No problem. We're going to help our families.
Si uno se está teniendo la voluntad de irse, es para buscar el progreso tanto personal como para la familia.
We're doing it for our own personal progress and for our families. I want my young kids to be able to go to the university. I want them to have computers. I want them to speak another language. I want them to have more opportunities.
Opportunities that could come with more trade. At this local craft fair, for example.
Centro se llama el Mexico Trade Center, allá en Santana, California. El Mexico Trade Center allá en Santana, California, a través del Mexico Trade Center que abrimos allá en Santana, California.
Hernandez tells them about the new Mexico Trade Office in California. Elizabeth Andrade, a 39-year-old single mother of two, has already made up her mind to risk a border crossing. She's worked in a sewing factory here, learned to cut hair, started her own business in Puebla. But even on her best days, only makes about $4 a day. Not enough, she says. Elizabeth, did you read about the 14 people who died in the Arizona desert?
Lo leemos y lo vemos todos los días por televisión. Sin embargo, no es algo que nos intimide.
But to die in the desert just trying to get to the United States is a very scary proposition, isn't it?
No creo que sea más que morir doblemente en tu casa cuando no tienes que ofrecerle a tus hijos.
The decision has been hardest on her 13-year-old daughter, Brenda.
Estaba yo en mi cuarto, elaborando aún mi tarea. Mi mamá me dijo que tenía pensado irse a los Estados Unidos y me empezó a sorprender bastante y me atemoricé un poco de que se fuera.
So what did you say?
Que no. Que no se fuera porque se le iba a extrañar bastante en la casa.
And this is why Juan Hernandez's job is so difficult. It's tough, huh?
Bastante.
How do you keep her here? What do you do, ultimately, to keep her here?
I must try to create right here where she lives job opportunities so that she has the option. Now, if she does cross the border and she does go up there, if she has problems up there, then it'll be my obligation also to make sure that I listen to her problems and do everything I can to make sure that she's okay up there too.
This is Deborah Amos for Nightline in Puebla, Mexico.
I'll be back in a moment with a word about tomorrow's Nightline.
Last night when I took my girlfriend to Olive Garden, I took Uncle Mike's advice. I said you gotta have the new chicken and shrimp limone. It's chicken and shrimp tossed with pasta in a white wine lemon sauce. It's a perfect combination, like you two. Olive Garden. When you're here, you're family.
Fight wrinkles all day with Rock Retinol Active Pure Day. It protects against sun damage with SPF 15, and Rock visibly reduces the appearance of wrinkles by 30% in 12 weeks. Rock, we keep our promises.
You must be hungry. Let's go get some breakfast. Sure, like the moon goes do. Oh, yes, Trusty Wessie. Oopsie, whoopsie. Such a good girl on a swingy wingy. Poo, poo, poo. Is Daddy Waddy home from worky jerky?
When you're in desperate need of a night out, you need Broadway.com and Visa.
How silver. Wonderful use of iambic pentameter. Whammeter.
Visa, the preferred card of Broadway.com.
Live lottery, easy as ABC. Hey, Ken, the only place to see the New York State Lottery drawing live is right here on ABC 7. Watch Wheel Daddy-O, weeknights for Win 4 Numbers, the Daily Picks, and the Numbers Game. Catch Take 5 on Eyewitness News at 11 every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Dig the live lotto drawing on Eyewitness News at 11 every Wednesday and Saturday. Live lottery, as easy as ABC. Yeah.
Every business revolves around its customers. Make your business revolve around every customer with a network that does just that. Communication solutions from Avaya. Communication without boundaries.
You have 4.
Voicemail, email, faxes. With unified communication from Avaya, put them all in one place, and the one message you need finds you. Avaya. Communication without boundaries.
We know it's hard getting started in the morning with so much to do.
So Eyewitness News won't waste your time.
We'll give you breaking news,
More reporters live on the scene,
the AccuWeather forecast,
road and rail updates.
the pulse on sports,
It's all the news to get you going.
and we'll have a little fun doing it.
So when your time is tight, the best place to get you started in the morning
Is Eyewitness News this morning. Tomorrow morning, right here on ABC 7.
Tomorrow on Nightline, a Friday night special. This week marked 20 years since scientists first took note of the mysterious and deadly disease that would eventually become known as acquired immune deficiency syndrome, or simply AIDS. We'll look back at how far we've come and how much further we still have to go. That's tomorrow on Nightline. And that's our report for tonight. I'm Ted Koppel in Washington. For all of us here at ABC News, good night.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source. Tomorrow,
getting more vacation this summer for less money. Why a strong U.S. dollar is sending travelers places they never thought they could afford. Watch ABC's World News tonight.
ABC Sports swings into Memphis. The FedEx St. Jude Classic Saturday.